All right, guys, here we are with another problemed vehicle. This is a Nissan Xterra 2000, I forgot what the year was, 2007. And the issue with this is that the overdrive light is on, stays on, and the car drives very slow. It feels very heavy, like it's trying to take off like on second or third gear or something like that. So the guy said he had it checked out by another Nissan tech. Let me show you what it's doing. You turn on the car, bloop, and there it is. It stays on. Oops. This button doesn't work, as you can see. Now this button does not work, but I have manually tried to turn it off via the connection down there, and it still doesn't take off that light. So that he said he had a Nissan technician look at it, and he said, oh, it needs a valve body, and the guy was never able to get him to do the job. So he brought it to me and said, hey man, can you do this for me? Just throw a valve body on it. He bought me the parts, so I have it here. I did call a friend of mine that we used to work at the Nissan together years ago, and there is no codes, by the way, no codes in the transmission, nothing. You know, it just literally, you floor it and it almost doesn't want to get out of its own way. Once you get momentum, boom, you're traveling, you're good. But that initial takeoff is like sluggish as get out. And so he said that he noticed that the problem started after he changed the alternator. So I don't know if they, you know, jumped something backwards. I don't know. I checked all the fuses, everything seemed all right. Like I said, I have communication with the TCM. I can look at all the parameters, the few that I just quickly looked at. I didn't really dive too deep into it, because he had told me that the technician told me to put the TCM, which is in the valve body, and my friend that works at Nissan told me the same thing. So we're just gonna throw a valve body on it, and it should fix it. My friend normally told me that normally it gives a code with it, normally. But all the symptoms are a bad valve body. When it's cold, you crank it up. I don't know if it'll do it now, but you put it in reverse and it jerks very violent. Oh yeah, you see that? I mean, it's very violent. It jerks very violent. It drives sluggish on takeoff. And what's the other? That overdrive light is on. What's the other symptom? Yeah, that's about it. But no code of any kind. But he said normally it comes with a code, but all those symptoms, throw a valve body in there. That's what he told me. I was like, okay, I just wanted to confirm. He said no, they will come there all the time for that problem. And I will mention that if you were to put it in reverse and floor it, you will burn some rubber. In reverse, I mean, it takes off on reverse. It will definitely take off on reverse. You will spin out. You'll burn some rubber on reverse. In drive, forget about it. It won't go nowhere. But in reverse, it'll spin the tires. So I'm not even contemplating no clogged exhaust, none of that mumbo jumbo. I tinkered around with the O2 sensors, you know, just to make sure it's not a sensor problem or fuel trim problem, stuff like that. You know, I just quickly checked some of the basic stuff just to make sure something's not causing it. But two technicians said the same thing. Two Nissan technicians said the same thing. And so the owner of it bought the part. He said, you know, here's a valve body, throw it on there. and obviously I have to program it afterwards. So I'm just gonna kind of bring you guys along for the ride, maybe do a time lapse or something on it, or I don't know, dropping the valve body, I don't know, just something to entertain for the moment. So let me get this set up on the lift, jack it up, and see what we can do. All right, so we're gonna begin with removing or draining the pan. So we're gonna use this 19 millimeter socket. Ooh. The oil doesn't look bad. It's still red. It doesn't stink. It smells like transmission. The transmission oil has a distinctive smell sometimes. But I know some of these Nissans had an issue. I forgot which model. I want to say it was the Maximus. I forgot what year. They had an issue with similar problem where you had to replace the valve body. It would throw code. You had to change the valve body or something. The oil would get really black and smell like burn. Ugh. Those nasty smelling things. So I worked for the Nissan dealership years ago, back the mid 2000s. I worked before I moved up north, and I worked then, and then again in 2013 I worked for not even a year, and then I moved on to another shop. Of course I had came back to South Florida by then, so those were the good old days. Mid 2000s, not 2013. Because when I came back to the dealer, I was in for a rude awakening. I had left the field altogether for, you know, many years. I was still doing it, just not professionally, for a living. And back in 2000, when was it I worked for the Nissan? I worked for Toyota and for Nissan. So Toyota was good. But what I didn't do in Toyota in those 2 years that I worked at that dealer, I did in about 2 to 3 months in Nissan. And I used to make a lot of hours. I used to flag a lot of hours at that dealer. It was not uncommon for me to have at least easily over 100 hours a paycheck over. And at the time, you know, fresh out of high school, that was good money, or decent, you know, compared to working at, you know, a fast food place or something like that. But when I left, came back in 2013, I was in for a rude awakening. If I can get 60 hours every 2 weeks, it was too much. I mean, the game changed a lot in those years that I was out. It changed a lot. You know, the services have changed. You know, I've spoken about that before. I got that one 10 millimeter that's kind of, this bracket is in the way, so I'm gonna have to go manual on that one. Let me get a little ratchet socket. the services have changed a lot since then. I remember a 30K included spark plugs. It included, you know, coolant exchange, transmission fluid exchange, you know, the normal, you know, induction service, rotate and balancing. What else? Filters, air filter, fuel filter, back when they had external fuel filters. And you know, we used to do all that stuff. We used to make good money. You know, a 30K used to pay at least 4.5 hours, something like that. And crap, it got me. It always gets me. Okay, so like I was saying, or rambling, it was pretty good money. A 15K paid about 3 hours, you know. A 5,000 mile service, which was you know, oil change, rotate and balance, used to pay an hour. So you could easily rack up. Brake jobs paid 2.5, if I remember correctly. It was decent money, you know, if you were efficient. But now they don't want you to change the fluid, the transmission fluid. They don't want you to change the spark plugs till 100K plus. The coolant, the same thing. Oil changes now are 5,000 plus, which that's a bunch of baloney. But I digress. That's a bunch of baloney in my opinion. You know, a lot of these services, how they've extended the service interval. You know, I promise you, by the time your vehicle has about 30, especially on these Toyotas, by the I don't know about the newer ones, but these older, you know, mid 2010s, stuff like that, by the time that car has 30,000 miles, I promise you that transmission oil is already black. I promise you. So we're back. I already cleaned the pan. I'm gonna just put it back together real quick. Like, hopefully I have enough battery to show you that. Because my battery is running new. So I verified that everything's connected. I'm not missing no bolts or anything. So now I'm just gonna put my oil pan back up. My oil pan back up. Put a new gasket. I cleaned it, and it should be good to go. It should be good to go. All right. So I have my impact here on drive only. That means I'm not gonna hit it like an impact. I just want to drive him in there first. And then I go ahead and tighten everything down. So I torqued all the bolts on the valve body to 70 inch-pounds. That's 70 inch-pounds. That's what the spec was. And well, the few times that I use a torque wrench. I know some of you guys out there are torque Nazis. You want to torque everything down, and I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't do it. I don't do it. At least for the not important stuff. So I'm gonna have to do it by hand. This one I'm gonna have to do it by hand. I'm missing a few more. I thought I was done. This one probably by hand too. I'm missing two. Let me get this out of the way. Where are they at? One is right here. And the other one is right here. right, and now as you can see, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna finish tightening it by hand, so to give it the final torque. Now I'm gonna go ahead and shut off the camera because I know it's about to die, and I'm gonna put it to charge, and then I'm gonna come back on after we're done with the maybe I'll turn it on during the programming, I'm not sure, so stay tuned. Alright, so here we are. We've got the RAP2 connected, the battery maintainers connected, and they're doing their hummy on the other end. They're programming the TCM. You really can't see what they're doing because they don't show all that, but it's the programming is in progress. So after the programming, I'm gonna make sure that I top off the transmission. I already added about 5 or 6 quarts of oil, and I ran it for a couple minutes just to drive the fluid through the circuits. I didn't drive it, I just, you know, went through the gears real quick. And once I get done with this, I'll make sure that we go ahead and top it off and then go for a test drive, see what happens. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so as you can see, it is dark, it is nighttime. And believe it or not, I just recently finished with the programming on this car. It took almost 3 hours to get this TCM program. It was crazy, ridiculously long. But I'm driving the car and she is purring like a kitten. She has power. All the gears seem to be nice and smooth. The overdrive light is gone. I had to calibrate the steering angle sensor, but that was not a big deal. It was a quick thing there. But the car is back to its former glory days. As we can see here, it is driving fine. Totally night and day compared to what it was. I can accelerate, I can drive normally. Before I couldn't get this car on takeoff, it couldn't get out of its own way, and it took forever to get up to speed. So I topped it off. We finished the programming, topped it off, and calibrated the steering angle sensor because the VDC, whatever little light that pops up over here somewhere, was coming on. So took care of that, and she is driving. So I'm gonna go ahead and call the owner, let him know what the deal is, and have him pick it up as soon as possible, because this bad boy is ready to go home. Well guys, I appreciate your support as always. Thank you for all your likes, and thank you for all your subscriptions. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, I ask that you please do, and hit a thumbs up, ring the bell, get notifications of my new videos, and stay in touch, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thank you again. Ciao for now.